Hello students, this is a video that I'm making for JMS 200 Fall 2026. Okay, JMS 200 Fall 2026. You like that? Like that? Like that? Okay, Fall 2026. This is the video that I'm doing about current stuff for the movie industry, current stuff about movies. Now this little part, the interstitials that I'm recording Sunday, July 12th, I had to think, Sunday, July 12th. It's middle of summer, basically. I'm going to see an art movie at the Academy of Motion Pictures. The museum is right behind me. Yeah, the Academy of Motion Picture Museum. It's an art movie that I've never heard of and I'll probably never see again. And I don't even know if I'm gonna like it. Someone, famous director, my wife tells me, famous director has remade the Hitchcock film Vertigo by using clips from other movies, but maybe there's no dialogue in it. And the whole thing's only 65 minutes, so I figure I could suffer through 65 minutes, even if it's a terrible art movie. But anyway, this is not the normal kind of thing I would go see. They're also showing an old restored version of Magnificent Seven, classic Western. I know I would love that, but let me try this. I'm trying to be open to life's unexpected opportunities. So, long introduction. Current stuff about the movie industry for JMS 200. Recording this part, Sunday, July 12th. August 11th, 2026. That's, cutting off the words there, but you get what it is. Now, this is a model, this is at least 10, maybe more than 10 years old. 2014, yeah, more than 10 years old, about the distribution windows that used to work theatrically, kind of in the legacy media industries, where something would move down the food chain, and the lower it got down on the food chain, speaking metaphorically, of course, then it ends up something in like the $1 Blockbuster rental or Redbox rental out front, paying on HBO or playing in a movie theater and then an airplane, some whole hierarchy. That's what this sort of chart indicates. That started to go away many years ago. Tower Heist was a film that experimented with something called day and date releasing. Day and date is what you might think is called simultaneous. So you might think it's called simultaneous release. It's called day and date when something is available on some streaming platform or theoretically on home video, also in a movie theater, kind of available multi-platform, as it were. This particular film was blocked not because the studio or not because any of the stars. It's actually a pretty decent film. I saw it years ago. It wasn't blocked because of the stars. It was the people who actually own the movie theaters. So people who run movie theaters are different from the people who make the movies, and they wanted to protect their lucrative popcorn business. Speaking metaphorically, of course, refreshments are very expensive. They want you to come actually to the theater. They want to derive their revenue that way. Even if people might be paying more money to stream it at home, they're not going to the movie theater. So the movie theaters blocked that release. Then that kind of release became more, what's the next slide here? Yeah. In here, that is just basically what I told you. Here's some examples, maybe older examples now. Snowpiercer, then The Interview. The film The Interview, which is this weird comedy, that was released online because of weird threats of like North Korean terrorism. It was a very odd story, but there's unusual circumstances to that one. That's not a good example of a reason all films can be released that way. Now films have exclusive deals with different streaming services, and it's hard to even keep up with the streaming services with the mergers and the name changes and things. But each streaming service tries to get some type of exclusive content to them to try and attract you to their service. Star Wars did this successfully, or maybe it's Disney. What's the difference now? They did this with that Disney Plus channel. People signed up to watch Mandalorian, then forget about it, forget to cancel it. That's me. I'm guilty of that. Then I realized I can watch Marvel movies. It's good background wallpaper. Watch them that way. And I got hooked in. So this was a very successful use of that exclusive content strategy. The green fog is over. I'm leaving now. I enjoyed it. I said that very tentatively, didn't I? I think it would be better focus here. I'm walking up steps. I think it would be better if I had seen the movie Vertigo recently. I mean, I've seen it, but a long time ago. I know Mel Brooks does a parody of that movie called High Anxiety, but it had been a long time since I saw Vertigo. That movie is set in San Francisco. All of the footage that was included in this movie was clips from other movies, TV shows. It was all in San Francisco, so it would be like a rooftop chase, people running across roofs in San Francisco. You saw how different directors did that. The Presidio, that movie showed up. Um, Streetcars showed up a lot. Walking along the beach, the big forest, redwood forest, whatever. The kind of curvy hills of San Francisco. Oh, people running up fire escapes in San Francisco. There's a whole lot of that. I guess it was good. I mean, I could sort of follow it. There's very little dialogue. I could talk more and more about the movie. But let's just say it was an interesting experience. Glad I saw it. Yeah, glad I saw it. Don't know if I will go see it again. And now I'm going to start walking, and then I got to call my son to come pick me up. I'll walk along Fairfax for a little bit. Things got weird during the pandemic when people weren't supposed to be going to movie theaters, and it kind of died down very much so for a while. Warner Brothers experimenting with day and date releasing got some Hollywood stars upset. They had paid or they had accepted low payment in exchange for a back end deal. They're going to get some percentage points on the success of the film when the film was done. So they've maybe paid a little bit less. When you dump a film on streaming, you kind of remove that theatrical box office that those people were betting on. You could see why some actors were upset about that. Disney has always experimented with different kind of mixture of day and date, and also PVOD is premium video on demand. Premium video on demand. Now you may ask yourself, why not just dump everything on streaming immediately? Why are we trying to preserve this dying dead industry at all, Arsenault? Grow up, get over it. Well, some people still think that theatrical release model makes sense. Hopefully, I got some points here. That's right. You will get bigger revenue, bigger on theatrical first and then goes to streaming. What else do I got? I already mentioned that box office for back in talent. These are old slides, going over them again. And there is still this lingering attitude. Yeah, that cinema is better than mere TV. Something that premieres on a big screen has a release that way first, like The Odyssey or Brand New Day, these films, is better than something that came out like a Marvel TV show like She-Hulk. That might be different for other reasons, but there's still this lingering attitude that cinema is better than mere TV. Can you see that? It says Television City right there. I worked in that building for 2 years. That was when I first moved to Los Angeles. That's why I moved to Los Angeles. That, and also wanted to be a sitcom writer. It must have been 1998. The Price is Right used to be filmed in this studio, and because I worked for CBS, I could get into The Price is Right pretty much whenever I wanted to, and I could get a seat, even like a seat in the front row. But the kind of rule was that they were never going to call me up to be a contestant because I, worked at CBS. But I did that several times, at least 4 or 5. Somewhere I have a VHS tape of me, because it was still VHS, VCRs at that time, tape of me sitting in the front row, Price is Right, not on contestants row. I'm not like up there bidding, but I'm totally visible the whole time. Yeah, I got a kick out of that. Oh, and by the way, this is out of order. This is after the movie, and after I've gone to the farmer's market. But anyway, walking around Los Angeles. At the point of recording this, here are the top films for 2026. Spider-Man, Brand New Day, of course, Toy Story 5, The Odyssey, Super Mario Galaxy Movie, Michael, Project Hail Mary, number 7, Obsession. We're going to hear more about that in just a moment. The Devil Wears Prada 2, Backrooms. You're also going to hear more about that. Star Wars, The Mandalorian, and Grogu. Well, I kind of talked about Mandalorian already anyway. But these are the big hits for 2026 so far. I could talk about this. What's more to be said? I think both movies are good, each in their own way. I do believe that the longer one, Odyssey, that needed an interval. They needed an intermission in that movie. But I think we're going to hear more about this. This film I was also looking forward to. I like some superhero stuff, but it didn't do well. Bad reviews. I was going to go see it, and then I get a really bad review. Whoa, look at that. Behind the Supergirl bomb. So just because you make a superhero movie doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna be good. Coming up, fall 2026, here are the big films. And I think Godzilla should be on this list. I seriously think that there's some other Godzilla, Godzilla Zero. Some of these movies, I want to look it up. I really want to continue this lecture, but my little dog really wants a walk. I'm going to play a big chunk of a podcast. It's a very good podcast by KCRW called The Business. This episode is from, I think, July 24th, 2026. And it talks about the way people are looking at the internet for celebrities, the next round of film. Anyway, I'm going to let that speak for itself. Here's some points I just wanted to squeeze in right before this podcast excerpt. Now, there's something I call the mystique of the magic moment. That is in media history, in fact, in many forms of history, people glorify a singular moment of invention or a singular person, oftentimes a white male, to kind of privilege some sort of single spectacle. Usually things are very evolved and take a long time to evolve. And that concept comes up very strongly in this particular excerpt. And I also want you to look at there was a lot of old school Hollywood maneuvering that was still going on with this YouTube film. It wasn't like it just dropped out of the heavens, fully formed. And also, studios are famous, so famous for underplaying the budget of the movie. Even if they're lowballing, these particular films made a tremendous amount of money, much, much more than they cost to make. There's the famous movie Coming to America. The writer Art Buchwald, a pretty famous writer, he said that he was ripped off, that his idea was used, and then somehow the studio managed that the film argued that the film never actually made money, and then also the cost of litigation of what he was arguing for was tremendous. It kind of dissolved. It was bad for everybody, bad for everybody. But that film kind of also stands out as indicative of the way films, even successful films like Coming to America, will downplay the budgets. We don't know how much was spent.
2026 is sure to be remembered as the year that YouTube really made its mark on Hollywood. First came Obsession, which cost less than $1 million and has grossed more than $440 million. Then came Backrooms from director Kane Parsons, who just turned 21. Last month, his film, with a budget of about $10 million, mopped up almost $385 million worldwide. And earlier this year, another YouTuber, Mark Fishback, aka Markiplier, financed Iron Lung and distributed it himself. The film cost just under $5 million and grossed $50 million. Our guests today are both part of the ongoing YouTube revolution. Roy Lee, the producer behind many films, including Weapons and Barbarian, recently set up an adaptation of the internet character Siren Head at Warner Brothers, with Zach Krieger co-writing the script. Corey Adelson is president of North Road Company, which co-financed and co-produced Backrooms based on a series of YouTube shorts like this one.
Project KV-31 pertains to the study and development of the async low-proximity magnetic distortion system. For the sake of convenience, you may hear your peers refer to the project under any of the following titles: The Machine, The Door, The Back Rooms, The Complex, Hallways.
That became a movie starring Chiwetel Ejiofor and Renata Reinsve. Corey, Backrooms, a bunch of phenomenal performers, made for very little money. And I was reading the sort of the backstory on Backrooms, and that thing it started out, I think, when Kane was 16 or...
Yeah, 17.
How did it come across your desk?
Two producers, Michael Clear and Dan Cohen, had sort of found it together, and they had teamed up to produce it and developed a pitch. And then we had a joint venture with A24, and they brought it to us to run through our venture. I was aware of this sort of trend at large, but I hadn't been aware of Kane's work previous to that, and that's how I came to Kane.
So were Clear and Cohen sitting around looking at YouTube, thinking there must be some talent here that we can develop?
As far as I understand, Sean Levy had hired someone to sort of go, hunting. But I think all of us, our jobs are to find new talent. So, we're looking in all sorts of different places.
Yes. So they bring you this project.
Mm-hmm.
And what shape is it in at that point? I mean, is it an idea? Is it a treatment? It's not a script, I don't think.
It was not a script. It was a pitch from a writer who we didn't end up shooting that script. But it was, we had the benefit of 20 some shorts that Kane had made over the course of his very short lifetime. And he had been doing these videos since he was 14. So he had built out a pretty deep world that had a pretty deep mythology.
Mm. And it goes through iterations, right? I mean, there's like
Mm-hmm.
a community built around him. Like
Mm-hmm.
James Wan gets into it. The Longlegs
Mm-hmm.
guy, Osgood Perkins, they come on as
Mm-hmm.
producers and mentors.
Mm-hmm.
And is this all by way of your company?
So they came to us. I had watched Kane's videos, and my sort of job as a facilitator between these two companies was to find 10 million and under films that could have broad appeal. And his work was just extremely evocative and cool. And you could tell that his world building was really sophisticated, and the restraint in his filmmaking was amazing. And we brought that to A24 as something that we wanted to do with them as partners. And then, later in the process, once we had a script that was ready and developed and we were cast and whatnot, we brought on Chris Ferguson and Oz, Chris to run the production on the ground in Vancouver, and Oz to mentor Kane to whatever degree he needed, but really just to stand by him and be a sort of a presence of support.
Wow. So I guess he had a tremendous, it wasn't just a burst from the head of Zeus, like this
Yeah,
fully
for
fledged
sure.
filmmaker. This was a process, right? I mean, because, the story that seems to get out there in the popular world is Boy Wonder builds YouTube following, fabulously successful, inexpensive movie results.
Sure. I mean, it was a process for sure, but I wouldn't say it was a process of sort of all of the hands on deck of, Kane's vision was remarkably clear from day one. And, he had the humility to know what he didn't know and to ask questions. And we were all there to sort of facilitate that and support his growth. But I would say these themes and these big ideas really did come from Kane, and this world was built by him. So all he really needed was, the tools. It was our job to surround him with the best tools.
Mm. Figure out what Siren Head is, and I still don't quite know, but I'm getting a general idea. And I'm trying to remember the path it followed. How did you move Siren Head into the world? Because you ended up at Warner's. I know Mike and Pam, I think DeLuca and Pam Abdi bought it.
Yeah, I mean, it was something that one of my executives brought in and had gotten offers from various studios already just based on the meme itself. And I was just like a little bit dubious. Is like, why are they bidding on a picture that doesn't have any story? And that's when my son told me there is a rich history where some of the short films had hundreds of millions of views, and on TikTok they had billions of hits on different things that mentioned Siren Head. So it was just a project that I was like, okay, well, there's got to be something here with all that, I guess, public awareness of it, but especially with the young people.
I mean, I have to ask both of you. I guess I'll start with Corey. I mean, are we getting a little hysterical now and chasing the heat, do you think? Not you, of course, not Roy, but do you think the studios are kind of in that mode?
Everyone but Roy. Like, obviously, Roy has phenomenal taste. So, the things that he is involved in, Siren Head is really, really cool. But I definitely see like a hysterical response, but in the way that we always have, in the way that after Bridesmaids, there was a bunch of girls going on trips in movies.
Yes.
It was like,
I don't know.
Well, I just think it opened the eyes of executives and other producers of another form of IP that they didn't know existed before. And so it's sort of like if video games weren't like that much of a thing 10 years ago, but then they realize it's a thing. And so there's going to be people developing video games from now till the end of just forever, and until like games stop being made. And people are going to create these online IPs, and some of them will be able to be adapted. So just the way that some toys that come from nowhere and some books are just written, it's just another area of developing ideas to turn into movies.
Do you have you've done big budget franchise type of movies and these smaller movies. Do you have a preference when you pick a project?
No, it's more just like something that is interesting that could be turned into a movie that you haven't seen before. And definitely, I'd never seen anything like Siren Head before.
I'm now walking north on Fairfax, for any of you who know Los Angeles, walking towards the Grove and the Farmers Market. The Grove is this big-ass shopping mall. The Farmers Market is next to CBS Television City, or what used to be CBS Television City. I think that's changing anyway, kind of right in the middle of West Hollywood here. Farmers Market, because I worked at CBS at the time, Farmers Market was an actual market, but there were also like places that were kind of permanent restaurants, sort of, and permanent vendors set up. And it was really cool. It kind of had a quaint, small town feel to it, a little touristy, but you could actually buy fruits and vegetables and then also buy food. Then I moved to LA in '98. Then in like the early 2000s, the Grove came up, this big outdoor mall, which is kind of prefab, and I mean, it's nice and chic and whatever, but it made the whole area super, super crowded. Anyway, when I was living in LA, I had an idea for a movie based around the Farmers Market. There was a sign on the intersection that said, "Meet me at 3rd and Fairfax." And I thought that's the name of the movie, Meet Me at 3rd and Fairfax. And it's about 4 friends. I'll do the pitch quickly. 4 friends who've come to Los Angeles from different parts of the United States to live their Hollywood dreams. They meet periodically for brunch at 3rd and Fairfax. Starts with 4 people. One person fails out immediately. They're not making it in LA. They go back home. One person has super, super minor success, like really minor, like they're a part in a music video or something like that. They get involved in drugs. They go away. One person hits big. They become super big star in Marvel movies, whatever, like big star. Their friend, who's also one of our 4 regulars, can't find any work in whatever they want to do. Like maybe they want to be the writer. Writers are always people who get pooped on. They can't get any work, and they end up making a living by doing something else in the industry, but not what they really want to do. Like they go into bookkeeping or accounting or costume design, which everyone needs to do that. Those are all skills, and someone has to do those. Someone get paid to do that, but they're not doing what they want to do. And so the story of the movie is like 4 or 5 meetings of these friends at the Farmers Market. Meet Me at 3rd and Fairfax. That's the name of the movie. But then maybe by the end, just thinking out loud, maybe by the last act of the movie, it's just our 2 main characters, the person who made it big and then the person who's being a bookkeeper. So what do you think? What do you think of my idea? If any of you take my idea and go sell it, I get a writer's credit or a story credit. And everyone in JMS 200 will know that you took the idea from this right here. Anyway, that's the end of this video lecture. Current stuff about movies. I'm making it for fall 2026, but might use it longer than that. Anyway, that's that. Okay, I'm on Hollywood Boulevard. I just saw The Odyssey, literally just saw it. This is my immediate reaction. I'm glad I saw it. Can you hear me over that gasolina? I'm glad I saw it on the big screen. I like the theatrical experience. 70mm IMAX at the Chinese theater. That's pretty good. Some of the sound, the audio seemed muddled or something, like maybe the mix was weird, like I wish it had subtitles. Old man like me. Before the movie, I did watch a short video about basic plot points I should know about the Odyssey. Who was Penelope, who was Agamemnon, blah, blah, blah. I'm glad I did that. But I still thought something about the pacing was odd, and maybe it needed an interval. Like when you watch movies in India, they always have an intermission and interval. I thought it needed that. What else I think? Oh, the depiction of women wasn't great. That movie barely passes the Bechdel test. Not good representation of women. I like the part at the end where Ben Kenobi turns into Jason Bourne and then fought Batman while Spider-Man is there. And I'm like, where's your web shooters? The Hall H geeks will get all those references. But anyway, that's my immediate reaction to the Odyssey. I wanted to do this for JMS 200. I'm walking out of Spider-Man. See the Odyssey over there. Just saw Spider-Man Sunday night, Mission Valley. Maybe some of you recognize even where I am. Immediate reactions. Liked it. Tom Holland is in this movie and Odyssey, and amnesia and memory loss plays a part in both movies. And both movies are long as well. I'm not sure I love The Punisher. We need better role models for young, impressionable children. And he's not a superhero anyway. He just has the machine gun. Granted, I know Batman is not superpowers anyway, but Batman is more of a superhero than Punisher, who just has a machine gun. Do we want to be glorifying this kind of behavior? Give the Punisher his own R-rated movie. Keep him out of the kids' movies. That's all I'm saying. But I did like the scene where the Punisher was firing in the air and the Hulk and Spidey Hulk Punisher scene was pretty cool. I'll have to think more about it. That is my immediate reaction. Super crowded movie theater. This thing is going to make like $1 billion instantly. That's what I think. And I do like Tom Holland.